All right, guys, so the next project on this car is we're doing a steering rack swap. So this car currently has a Z3 rack, and we are upgrading to the ZHP, which is the yellow tag 712 for a quicker turning. So we're going to do that, and to go through that, we have to have the E46 inner tie rods, and then we have to use the E36 outer tie rods. This car does not use the stock E36 tie rods, so I'll have to take those off, which are the Hemi joints, and put them on this rack. So I'm going to go through and clean this a little bit, remove these items, and start assembling the inner tie rods and getting the boots in place and dropping that sucker in. And also, while we'll be doing that, I'll be replacing all the hoses and the reservoir for this one. The power steering hose lines that are currently on the car, they're pretty much cracked. That you could see a bunch of the cracking on it. And I noticed when I was installing the engine not too long ago, that one of the lines, the hard lines, because of, I guess, the engine being pulled in and out so many times, that one of the hard lines was a little soft. So in other words, it was getting too soft, and it was just by flexing. So we needed to replace that. So while we were replacing some lines, I got EW to move forward on the ZHP rack. So let's get to it. All right, so I got it all cleaned up. Went to the parts washer, and she's looking kind of newish. So of course, going to the parts washer, I need to re-grease the splines here for the actual shaft. So I'm going to be using my my synthetic here grease, and just try to get it all on the actual teeth itself. I don't try to get it onto the other items on the shafts right there. I'll clean that up. So try to spread it a little bit better. See if I can get it done this way. And one more go at it, just to make sure. And there we go. She'll be all lubed up. So now what I got to do is I got to center it, so that way when I put it in there, I can get all my measurements correct. That way I can get as close to toe as possible. There you go. So what I end up doing is technically turning it 1.5 to get these pretty much really close to one another. And that is from the edge here, just under 2 inches. So this one's got to go just a tad bit more. So 2 inches here and 2 inches there. So that right there will put me right in the center of the rack. So that way when I install the actual little yoke here on the steering shaft, it'll be pretty much almost dead on. Now this is the E46 steering rack knuckle. Cannot use this one because of the little square. So I have to end up using, or we will have to end up using the E36 one, which the one that's on the race car is an aftermarket one. So yeah. So what I'm going to end up doing now is I got my boots. So these will not be completely secured. I'm leaving these loose because I will tighten them when the rack is physically on the car and I am satisfied with everything, in case I need to remove anything. Now I know these little rings that I'm putting on there, the clamps, they will come off when I start moving it, but I am just getting out of the way, out of the box, so that I do not forget to put them back on, or to put them on. So technically that's it for this. So the next thing I got to end up doing is I just got to remove it off of the chassis, and take off the outer tie rod ends on the old rack and put them on this one, and go from there. So there's the power steering pump, and there's 2 bolts. I will be removing the power steering pump. I am going to clean that as well since I'm out. So I got to remove the belt, and then up here up top, I don't know if you can see it very well. See if I can get it in there. There's the shaft, and there is the knuckle. This is a racing knuckle, so it's not an OEM one. All right, and down underneath. All right, from underneath there we have the tie rod end. And I'm going to take the whole assembly out on one piece. So there's the bolt that holds the rack into the front subframe, and the 2 banjo nuts right there that I will be removing. Again, I am replacing all of the hoses and the reservoir over there. So yep, give me a few minutes and I'll get this sucker down. All right, there's the old steering rack. She's out of the car. There are the tie rods that I'll be swapping over on either end, and the reservoir is getting replaced. All these hoses are getting replaced. I got the power steering hose kits. I can't remember if it comes with the bolts or not, but if not, I can reuse the bolts. But the crush washers, I know for a fact I do have all new ones. So just gonna swap over the tie rods. All right, so there's the steering rack back in. All the new bits, all the new hoses, and the new boots already there, and got the new crush washers. I really can't see much, but yeah, she is in. So the only thing I have to do is just verify on my measurements there, and then once I am okay with everything in the movement, I should be able to go ahead and get these clamps crimped down on both ends, and then I should be able to add fluid. So the only thing I got to do is just add the belt, and like I said, just a little bit of finessing, just make sure everything is good, and I got to tie my hose clamps down, but she's all good to go. Here's a view from the top, the new hoses, the new reservoir, and got the steering shaft in. So right now I got the steering wheel center, and the rest of the adjustments can be done at the tie rod ends, which I think I have it towed in just a tad bit. So I should be able to get that taken care of. Once everything is all back together, yeah, I should be able to finalize that. So, all right, so that wraps up the steering rack. That is an ZHP steering rack from an E36 330i. The inner tie rods are for the same car. The outer tie rods are for an E36 M3 for the actual car that's on there. The hoses are all for a 95 E36 M3. So yeah, so that pretty much completes it. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. And like always, like and subscribe, and see you in the next video.